I want someone else to start.
I think he's doing a great job.
Well, I know that a lot of listeners really appreciated it when I crunched my peanut thing right up against the microphone here, so I'm doing it.
Do it more.
That's how engrossed I am with the John Kasich. Actually,
Yeah.
he's pretty good. Actually,
I mean, he's better than the other candidates, but when he started talking about these banks and the big banks are so regulated and the regulation is trickling down to the smaller banks, and it's been a disaster because they have to fill out these forms.
Oh, he's ridiculously wrong.
I
I had a
said
guy
that
talk to me
exactly.
from J.P. Morgan Chase once, and he said, "You wouldn't believe the forms we have to fill out because of this new law." I said, "Fine, we'll break you up." That's what I do. Just break up your goddamn bank. Then you don't have to fill out any forms because you're not too big to fail.
And you know what?
You're
The
too big
forms to
fail,
break
fill
you
out
up, I'll fill out those. Don't
I'll
worry
fill
about
them
it.
out
You know,
for you.
it's-
Exactly. I got a guy who knows a guy who'll fill them out for you.
That argument about the forms reminded me of a debate that I had at ASU with a conservative
What
and a
is
libertarian.
that? It doesn't sound right.
Arizona
Oh,
State
it's in, no, I
University.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the libertarian was talking about how the overregulation of businesses led to his business failing. And then he blamed his business failing on the amount of paperwork he had to do. And that tends to be a scapegoat for Republicans whenever a business fails, right? Or for people who believe in free enterprise and deregulation and all that stuff. Like, oh, it failed because of all the paperwork. If your business failed because you couldn't do the paperwork, well, I think there are bigger issues at play there, right? And also, there should definitely be regulation to avoid the financial meltdown we had in 2008. But because of the lack of regulation, we still have banks giving out subprime mortgages, meaning that there are people who shouldn't have mortgages to begin with right now, who have them. The interest rates will go up when they least expect it. They'll lose their homes. It will be a foreclosure after foreclosure. And of course, the housing bubble will burst again. And then hopefully people like me who are saving and saving and saving can swoop in and get a house at a decent price.
Just find a nice apartment. Don't worry
Right?
about all
But
the
this
house stuff.
look, I'm partly joking about me swooping in, but that's the reality of it. The housing market will absolutely crash again, and it's because these banks are still giving out subprime mortgages. You don't believe me? Look into it. I keep an eye on the housing market all the time.
It's not so much the subprime mortgages as it is just their
they're
lack
giving
of
them
vigilance
to.
in terms of
Yes.
screening. It's really, when we had the crash the last time, subprime mortgages didn't do any worse than high-end mortgages. But in all cases, they didn't care who they were giving the money to because
That's
they're
right.
just going to bundle it and sell it off to somebody else. So they're not taking the risk. They make money either way. So they just want to write as many as they can.
And the exact same thing is happening right now. A realtor called me, okay, and was like, hey, we have this home in the area that you're interested in. Would you like to meet and, go to the open house? And I was like, nope. I was like, the market's going to crash. I'm just waiting for that to happen. And he totally acknowledged that it's going to crash. And he's like, yeah, it's going to crash, but then the interest rates are going to go up. And I was like, it's okay. I'm going to sit tight. Everything's going to be fine. Totally did not deny that the market's going to crash. The banks are not overregulated.
Yeah.
That is the last issue that we have in this country right now, okay, that there's too much regulation. The big problem we have is that there's not enough regulation. And they're going to rob us just like they did last time.
Hey, if it means not filling out more forms, then I say let's let them crash because I don't want to have more forms.
I hate forms.
Oh, I hate forms. The weird thing is, one of the consequences of the voter suppression the GOP is doing across the country is that there's a lot of other people who want to break government even more, but they can't. They're standing in line to vote too long, and they get discouraged because government doesn't work.
Yeah, they could be using that time filling out forms.
That was so clear in my mind when I started saying that, Joe.
You know what bothers me? I'll tell you. Here's a form that bothers me. I went to the doctor today because I hurt my shoulder, and this always happens. They make you fill out the form. You put in your date of birth, and then they ask you how old you are, state your age. It's like I just gave you my date of birth. Do the math.
Yeah.
I'll do the math
Those
for them.
fuckers.